Yeah, guys, today once again I'm back with another celebrity. Yes, today we have one of friend kind of celebrity, I can say. Yeah, it's a Vivaan Shah. Since childhood, we know your mother, your father, and now you are the next generation back with the court. Court name itself is a unique. First time, court. There are a lot of meaning when a person wearing
Wears a
coat.
coat, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, what exactly is the meaning here in this film, and why the title "Court" here?
First of all, good to see you
Thank
after
you.
very long. And the meaning of coat, I think what the coat symbolizes for the character is dignity, self-respect. And that is very important for Madhav because Madhav is at the sort of his situation in life.
Your character name in the
His
film
Madhav, his Madhav,
Okay.
that's right.
Okay.
And Madhav is basically belongs to a lower caste. And he's what they call the swineherds, which is suwar charane wale log. My father had done a film called Par, in which he played a similar. He played he played a swineherd, and there's a great scene where him and Shaban Azmi are taking the pigs across the river. That's why the film is called Par. And once they cross the river, they see ki abhi pahad baki hai. There's another long journey left. So it's a heart-wrenching film. That film Par. It's a heartbreaking film. And our film, I mean, if my performance is 1/10 of what my father did in Par, तो मैं बहुत खुश हो जाऊँगा. I'll be very happy. But so essentially, the story is about Madhav, whose family, Sanjay ji and Sonal ji, we are all a family together. And he wants to rise out of his own circumstances. He has a dream of buying a coat. So he tells his father कि बाबूजी हमको कोट खरीदना है, हमको पैसा चाहिए. तो पिताजी उनको बोलते हैं कि तू पागल हो गया यार, हमारे खानदान में आज तक किसी को नया कपड़ा खरीदने का पैसा नहीं मिला है, तो कोट मांग रहे हैं. तो वो जिद पकड़ के बैठ जाता है. He's like, नहीं, I want a coat, and he at all costs wants to make his dream come true. So he starts his own business with bamboo bass. जो वहाँ पे बिहार में there's a lot of handicrafts which are made out of natural products, which are made out of natural resources and ingredients.
Okay, so the same thing that we
same
can
thing,
see.
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
So
in
the poster and so the baskets that you see that are in the poster,
yeah.
He basically starts a business with his village people, with his friends, with his with his co-workers. He starts an industry, a business where they make products out of, they do what they know best, what they know how to do, which is handicrafts and craftsmanship and artistry, artisans. And so they essentially create a business out of these products. And all kinds of tumultuous circumstances ensue after that. That I won't spoil, obviously, you watch the film, you'll see that, but it's a very profound character study, this film, of a person from these circumstances and how he tries to not only rise himself out of these circumstances but also rise his fellow people out of these circumstances, because that's the most important thing, is that Madhav सिर्फ खुद की नहीं देख रहा है बल्कि सबकी, he wants to help everyone. He wants to help his entire village.
So who approached you first, like, for this film?
Akshay and Abhishek both approached me for this film, believe it or not, in 2017.
Okay. Yeah, film was stuck, I think. The release
They
was...
approached me in 2017. The film was shot in 2018, and now it released, and it's funny that like that's, the journey is more important than the destination. This is what I believe. The journey is more important than the destination. So one must work hard at everything, irregardless of whether it sees the light of day, materializes, gets a release, or any of that gets a reward. Because we tend nowadays, the problem with today's day and age is everyone thinks only about the reward. They don't think about the process. Everybody is very concerned about kitne numbers, hits, ye, wo, views, likes, falana, dhumkana, all these things. People are so focused on the reward. They're not focused on the process. And I think that's that's not a good thing. That's not a good way for anyone to live. We must enjoy the journey, not only the destination.
So, you're born and brought up in metro city like Mumbai.
Yes.
And the kind of character that you are playing in the film is based in Bihar, a rural area.
That's right.
And so, how did you transform yourself from, the real life that you live here in Mumbai and then to that character?
So that was a two-part thing. One of that is to do with the imagination, but I would say even more important than the imagination is the observation and compassion, empathy, understanding, humanity. These are all essential components of the actor's craft. So now the thing is to understand a person's circumstances, which are completely different from my own. ऊपर वाले की कृपा से मैंने कभी गरीबी अपनी ज़िंदगी में महसूस नहीं की है. I've never experienced poverty, thank God, by God's grace. Now for me to authentically and honestly portray a person who's a poor person was, number one, it's a challenge, and number two, it should not look dishonest. It should not look like this big city brat is coming and trying to play a young, a boy from Bihar, from the villages of Bihar, who's from a lower caste. It should not look like, that this person like me is trying to play that, and so that is the very important thing, and that can, I think, through one's own personal evolution and also through empathy and compassion and understanding. There's a tendency for a lot of rich people, जब वो गरीबी देखते हैं अपने आसपास, तो वो अपना एसी का विंडो ऊपर कर देते हैं और अपने काले चश्मे ऑन कर देते हैं, अपने म्यूजिक चला देते हैं. They like to shut their eyes to everything. They like to ignore reality,
Right.
and live in their own illusion, imagining that they want life to be like London and Paris, and they want everything to be fancy, and it's the human being's duty to open their eyes to the reality around you, to open one's soul to the reality around you, and not roll up that AC window and try to ignore the reality around you, but try to understand and observe and absorb and realize what the reality around you is and what other people are going through. And when you do that, when you realize what other people are going through, you'll realize that what you are going through is nothing in comparison to that. One of my heroes, one of my favorite actors of all time is Mr. Sanjay Dutt. And I was watching an interview of his recently, with Karan Thapar, in which he said something similar. He said that when he went to jail and when he saw the life around him, he realized कि मेरा जो खुद का दर्द है, what I'm going through, it's smaller in comparison to what people who are less privileged. And I think that's a very beautiful message that he put across. He's an inspiration to me, Mr. Sanjay Dutt. He's one of my favorite actors, and he's a brilliant human being. And I was very moved by what he said, that it is very important, especially for people like us who are from privileged backgrounds. We've not had difficult lives, and we constantly keep feeling that's another thing about life, कि आप देखोगे कि जो अमीर लोग होते हैं, जिन लोगों के पास इतना कुछ होता है, they're constantly complaining here. They're constantly complaining about. But whereas you see a person on the street who does not have anything, they still try to find joy and happiness with nothing.
So who decides on which character you should play or not? Completely your decision, or your parents are involved, since they are the legend of the living legend of Bollywood. So honestly, who decides on which film you should do or not?
No, the films choose the actor. Actor does not always choose the film. I think that's been the case in my life experience, that I like to sort of supplicate myself to the work, and I don't like to think of myself as above the work. Say, oh no, I'll be picky and choosy. I'll pick this. I'll choose that. No. Whatever work comes my way, I really respect it. Somebody has thought of me. Even if it's not a good film or a bad project, somebody has still thought of me, so I always respect that. So I don't think I choose the work chooses me. Of course, when it's a script which is very bad, and it's a film which is really bad, then obviously you can say, please, thank you for considering me, but I don't want to do the film. That happens very rarely. That doesn't happen that often. It happens sometimes. But otherwise, the film chooses the actor and not the other way around.
You worked with a Happy New Year kind of film, some big film, and now Court.
Yeah.
Even prior to that, Kabad, there was a film.
Yeah,
the story was almost similar. You played a poor boy in that film also. So the kind of difference you have felt. You have worked with a bigger production house and such kind of medium-sized production house.
Exactly.
So what sort of difference you feel when you work with the biggies and
the experience with the biggies is of course a wonderful experience, and they treated me really well, and I have a lot of love and respect for them, and I'll always be grateful. I'll never forget how well they treated me. I'll always be grateful to them. But the medium production houses that you just mentioned, those have been more meaningful experiences for me as a human being and as an actor. Those have been much more meaningful experiences, and they have taught me much more as a human being, as an actor. And I cherish those experiences more than I cherish the experiences with the biggies.
You can apply your more and more inputs with the smaller production houses, or what, like?
नहीं, input की बात नहीं है. See, input, I believe that the film actor's job is 90% execution and 10% ideation. Now the problem is there are a lot of actors, a lot of people, they make it pretty 90% ideation and 10%. तो वो खुद के ideas डालते रहते हैं picture.
Right.
That's wrong. That's no. My job is to execute Akshay's vision. So I'm not going to come and keep telling him कि नहीं, dialogue, you should make it this, you should try this, try that. No. I am executing somebody else's vision. As an actor, you're speaking somebody else's thoughts. You're inhabiting somebody else's consciousness. So I don't think that it's input. Of course, thoda bahut input hona chahiye, but a lot of actors, they do too much input. Yeah, they start putting like all their ideas. They're like, no, I don't want to say dialogue like this. It doesn't seem right to me. I think he'd rather say that. They keep asking the director, what's the motivation? What's the motivation? There's a great line. आपको एक किस्सा सुनाता हूँ. तो you know the filmmaker Alfred Hitchcock, ना? तो एक बार एक बहुत खतरनाक मेथड एक्टर थे, मॉन्टगोमरी क्लिफ्ट, बहुत तंग कर रहे थे उनको मोटिवेशन हर चीज के लिए. अगर कप उठाना है तो बोलते थे मोटिवेशन बता, मोटिवेशन, व्हाट्स द मोटिवेशन? सो एल्फ्रेड हिचकॉक फाइनली टोल्ड हिम, लुक, योर मोटिवेशन इज योर पेचेक.
Super.
So that's what. So input to the degree of, okay, my input came if I felt that if a scene was too heavy on exposition. What I mean by that is, exposition is when you're conveying certain information about the plot and story. Now sometimes what happens is, a writer, sometimes they tend to make it too straightforward, the exposition. You know, now we'll do this, now we'll do that. So in order to make the exposition scenes more realistic and to give it some more texture, that I put my input. Like, and that's a collaborative process with the director, with Akshay, with the writer-director. Like, there's one scene, for instance, where I'm all designating orders to everyone before the mela, where taking the tokeries and the baskets to distribute it. And it was written in a slightly exposition kind of way, as if I'm telling the plot to them. Me and Akshay, I told Akshay, we should make this more realistic. So we both sat down and we both came up with details. So we were telling one, कि आप जाके वो बस पड़ाव पे खड़े होंगे, आप जाके वो कोने पे खड़े होंगे, आप जाके वो दुकान के बाहर खड़े होंगे, जो भी दुकान, something like that, that we gave it detailing and shading and coloring.
Great. Yeah. So Sanjay Mishra is a great actor.
I love Sanjay ji. I love Sanjay ji so much, I can't even tell you. He is one of my favorite actors, and he's been like a mentor to me on this project. The way he took care of me, the way his whole family took care of me, his sister, her sister's husband Pappu ji, the sister's sons Akshat, son's friends Sumi, these people, इतना ख्याल मेरा रखा उन्होंने बिहार में, मैं बता ही नहीं सकता. I can't tell you how grateful I am to Sanjay ji and to his whole family for the way they took care of me in Bihar, for the way the loving and caring that they showed me in Bihar. And Sanjay ji is he is an institution in himself. He's one of the most brilliant, and he's a genius actor. He's someone who he has a unique idiosyncrasy जिसे बोलते हैं, जो खुद की जो personality है, खुद का जो छाप है, वो छोड़ते हैं अपने किरदारों पर. And every single film of Sanjay ji's, and you see the range of emotions that he's played, whether it's in a serious film or a comedic film or or if he's playing a character that's a slightly tough character. It is all. Sanjay ji is such a versatile actor, and he's such a thinking man's actor. He's truly. It was, I can't tell you how, it was one of the happiest experiences of my life working with Sanjay ji and learning. I learned so much from him, learned so much from Sanjay ji.
So what next after court? So in pipeline?
So this is one of those rare productive years. Like the last couple of years have not been very easy for me professionally. There's been a lot of periods where nothing's happening and that sort of thing. But now suddenly, Upar Wale ki kripa se, things have taken off. And I'm doing about, this year itself, I think there should be about 6 releases.
Oh!
So I'm very grateful. Yeah, suddenly I don't know how
2023.
I don't know how it happened. Yeah, 5 to hai. 6th one is going to probably release next year. Great. But there's definitely 5 releases coming out this year, and I'm really grateful that this has happened. It's happened after a period of a very fallow period, as they say. A period
so your lockdown is completely out.
Sorry?
Your lockdown is completely out.
I'm very grateful, yeah. It's come
Great,
after
superb,
a long wait and a lot of uncertainty, a lot of ups and downs.
6 movies in a year. That's
Yeah,
great.
no, I'll tell you what, 2 movies, 3 shows. Yeah, 3 shows,
Super.
and there's another one which I'm going to start in October. That'll obviously come out next year.
Great.
Yeah.
So, would you like to give any message to the audience?
Yeah, I
so
would-
that, you know.
Regarding the film, I would say that this film is about inequality in society. And I would just request the audience and request society at large that we together get together as Indians, as citizens, and we try to make the world and make this society a more equal and equalitarian place. So that it's a level playing field where there's equality of opportunities and people get what they achieve on the basis of merit and on the basis of hard work and on the basis of talent and not on other bases. So I really hope and pray that we move towards a more equalitarian and a more equal and a more fair and just future.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot for sharing your precious time. And
Thank
all the
you.
best
My
for the
pleasure.
grand success of this film.
Thank you for having
Thank you.
me. Thank you. Take care.